In Greek mythology, the 12 Olympians are what many consider to be the mightiest beings in all of creation, shaping the world around them as they see fit and often getting whatever they want. However, there are those even stronger than every god and mortal combined, beings who have existed since the beginning of the cosmos, beings who hold so much power that even the king of the gods himself, Zeus, fears their wrath. These beings are known as primordials. They are older and stronger than any god or titan to ever exist. They embody entire concepts that shape the universe itself, concepts such as earth, sky, love, and the underworld, and much, much more. However, there is one primordial force that emanates throughout the universe and is one of the first things to ever be created. This is the primordial concept of night or darkness, and in Greek mythology, they are called Nyx. And from Nyx sprung several generations of beings representing dark and abstract concepts such as death, sleep, dreams, fate, retribution, strife, and much more, all stemming from Nyx. I have already covered Thanatos, the god of death himself, and now it is time to talk about his younger twin brother, the god of sleep Hypnos, his primordial mother of darkness, Nyx, and the housemaid gorgan Dusa, who just to round out the trio. I am the Grace of Lore, and join me as I explain the rest of Death's family tree as presented in the game Hades. Sleep is something every being in the universe requires, whether you are a god or a mortal. If you are alive, then you must eventually rest, and this is a fundamental law that does not exclude the deity of sleep himself either, Hypnos. Hypnos is the son of Nyx and Erebus, the primordial of darkness. Hypnos resides in a cave in the underworld, often said to be next to the river Lethe, surrounded by fields of poppy flowers and other sleep-inducing substances. He has an ebony bed for him to rest on. Hypnos is described as having an appearance of a young man and having wings on the top of his head instead of his shoulders like most winged deities such as his brother. He uses the wings to cover his eyes while he sleeps, while also representing the swift and fleeting nature of sleep. In artwork, he is often depicted with his brother Thanatos while holding a poppy flower or an inverted torch. Since Hypnos is the embodiment of an abstract concept such as sleep, meaning as well as not being one of the 12 Olympian gods, similar to his brother Thanatos, there are not very many stories about him. However, there are two that stand out, and they both involve Hera, Zeus, and the city of Troy. In the first story, Hera asks Hypnos to put Zeus to sleep for a few hours, so that she could torment the hero Heracles after he had sacked the city of Troy. Hypnos agreed to this and did what he was told, putting Zeus into a deep slumber and allowing Hera to torment Heracles without the disturbance of Zeus. Eventually, however, Zeus woke up and was furious at what Hypnos and Hera had done, and nearly killed Hypnos. However, he managed to run to his mother Nyx, who defended him. Zeus, not wanting to anger the primordial being of night, let Hypnos be. In the second story, during the Trojan War, Hera wanted to help the Greeks. However, she couldn't do so because Zeus was supporting the Trojans and would not allow her to help the Greeks. So Hera once again called upon Hypnos to put Zeus to sleep, and despite his better judgment, he once again did as he was told, which allowed Hera to ask Poseidon to help the Greeks. Hypnos has many children, however there are three that stand out among the most, and they are the Enori, which are deities that shape the dreams of mortals and gods, including nightmares, prophetic dreams, and random dreams that mean nothing. Each of the Enori take on different forms while influencing the dreams of mortals and gods, including animals and inanimate objects. However, the most important member of the group is Morpheus, as he is often cited as being the god of dreams. In the game Hades, Hypnos is found next to the pool of Styx, where residents of the house respawn after being killed or dying out of the underworld. His job is to count the new shades arriving in the underworld and write them on his list. However, he is often found sleeping on the job and is startled when waking up. When Zagreus returns after being defeated in the underworld, Hypnos often tries to give him advice. However, this advice is blatantly obvious and unhelpful, with many of the residents of the House of Hades finding it annoying, especially Megara. Achilles speculates that the only reason that Hypnos has not been fired from his post is that Hades finds him amusing and considers him the unofficial jester of the house. Despite this, Hypnos is still incredibly powerful, as he is still the embodiment of sleep itself. Hypnos is able to put the entire house to sleep, with the sole exception of his mother Nyx. Zagreus asks him to do this at one point in order to snoop around the house. Despite his laziness, Hypnos is surprisingly talkative, often speaking with anyone who will talk with him. Hypnos looks up to his older brother Thanatos and wants to spend more time with him, even suggesting that Thanatos kill all the mortals at once so that he and Hypnos could spend more time together, although Thanatos scolds him for how idiotic his idea is. Throughout the game, Zagreus can help repair Thanatos and Hypnos' bond, making Hypnos more productive, which leads to Hypnos finally getting an Employee of the Month plaque in the lounge, as well as praise from his brother. Hypnos is also a big fan of Asterius, the Minotaur, and will ask Zagreus to get him his autograph for. And after many deaths to the Minotaur and Theseus, Zagreus will successfully get the autograph, which makes Hypnos very happy. Both Hypnos and his brother are extremely powerful beings that reside over dark and abstract concepts. However, both of them are far beneath the very embodiment of Night herself, a being even the king of the gods fears to endure the wrath of. The primordials are the strongest beings in all of Greek myth, and of course, one of the first and strongest primordials of all time was the personification of Night herself, Nyx. Nyx is the second being to ever exist, and is the daughter of Nyx is the parent of many powerful and abstract gods and goddesses. She is the mother of Thanatos, the god of death, Hypnos, the god of sleep, the three fates, who wind the fates of all the gods and mortals, Nemesis, the goddess of retribution, Moros, the god of doom, Charon, the ferryman of the dead, Hemera, the personification of day, and Eris, the goddess of strife, who you may also recognize as the one who offered the golden apple to Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite, which led to the Trojan War, all because she wasn't invited to a party. Nyx lives in the underworld with her sons Thanatos and Hypnos in the palace of Hades, where she rises to the surface to cast a shadow over the world of the living, riding a chariot across the sky and issuing night and allowing her children to do their jobs. Like her children, there are not many stories about Nyx, due to her representing an abstract concept, but there are a few notable stories that involve her in some way. Her most famous appearance was in the aforementioned story of her defending Hypnos from Zeus's wrath, showing that even the king of the gods is terrified of someone so old and so powerful such as Nyx. However, another notable tale involving Nyx is that of the day and night cycle in Greek myth. It is said that Nyx lives in a cave with her daughter Hemera, who is the personification of day, where they each take turns leaving and entering the cave, representing the day and night cycle. In Greek myth, Nyx does not have much of an appearance in stories. However, that could not be further from the truth in Hades. In the game, Nyx serves as the co-ruler of the underworld alongside Hades, looking after the overall state in the underworld, while also reviewing and giving out orders to the members of the staff of the house as well. While at first, Nyx found her new position incredibly taxing, the arrival of Persephone made her job much more pleasing. Nyx is Zagreus' biggest supporter in escaping the underworld, giving him the Mirror of Night, which Zagreus can use to give himself permanent physical upgrades that he can use during his escape attempts. Nyx has her own motivations throughout the game, hoping to finally end the rivalry and tension between the chthonic gods of the underworld and the 12 Olympians, though she still genuinely cares about Zagreus. Nyx acts parentally towards Zagreus, though she can be stern and not afraid of reprimanding him if need be. Her relationship with her own biological children, however, is very different compared to her relationship with Zagreus, treating her children with some sort of detachment and professionalism, and being capable of being cold and unfair. In this story, she acts as the reason the game even happens, as she was able to revive Zagreus, who had died shortly after his birth, by striking a deal with her daughters, the three fates. In exchange, he would be forever tied to the underworld, unable to stay on the surface for extended periods of time. Unfortunately, Persephone had already left the underworld by then, so she did not know of her son's revival. To aid Zagreus even more in his escape attempts, Nyx manages to contact the god of war and wisdom, Athena, who manages to convince the rest of the 12 Olympians to aid Zagreus on his quest, though they do not know his true motivations, believing he simply wished to join them on Mount Olympus. Throughout the game, Nyx acts as a constant positive force for Zagreus, who often tells her what he saw during his escape attempts, with Nyx constantly encouraging him to keep trying. When Persephone finally returns back to the underworld, Nyx is one of the most pleased and enjoys talking to her and catching up with her friend in the lounge. At the end of the game, Nyx finally accomplishes her goal of making peace between the underworld gods and those in Olympus by hosting a large feast for the gods, during which she meets the god of war Ares, who has always wanted to meet her. There's one final quest line involving Nyx in Hades, one that allows for you to finally reunite her with her parents. Unlike most characters in Hades, Dusa is a completely original character to the game, and is absolutely not representing any character from Greek mythology whatsoever. Okay, but in all seriousness, yes, Dusa is the much friendlier soul of Medusa from Greek myth, after she had died. In case you somehow don't know who Medusa is, she is the snake-haired woman in Greek myth that can turn any living thing she sees into stone with just her gaze. While there are many different myths about her origins, it is said that she was once a priestess of Athena, but after an incident with the god of the sea Poseidon, Athena turned her into a hideous monster that you remember from the myths. What many people don't know is that Medusa also had two sisters that almost killed Perseus after he killed her. Speaking of which, Medusa was killed by the hero Perseus as a task from King Polydectes in an attempt to kill the hero. However, after receiving the Helm of Darkness from Hades, winged shoes from Hermes, and Athena's polished shield, he was able to quietly enter the cave of Medusa and kill her while she was sleeping, by looking at her reflection from the shield. Perseus cut off the head of Medusa, which he could then use as a weapon, though once he killed Medusa, her sisters attempted to kill him, but he was able to escape thanks to the Helm of Darkness. Medusa's head was used as a weapon for some time, before eventually being given to the gods, where it landed in the hands of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, who asks Hephaestus to forge it into her shield. And thus ends the tale of Medusa from Greek mythology. In the game, Dusa appears to be just the head of Medusa, which appears to be the same for all the gorgons found in the underworld. Dusa is the only non-hostile gorgon you will encounter in Hades, as all the other gorgons in Asphodel will immediately try to kill you. When asked about her kin, Dusa will say that they are like mindless siblings, that she does not feel related to, and that Zagreus is free to keep killing them. This stands true, as in the Codex entry for the Gorgons, it says that when the original Medusa died, her blood seeped into the underworld and created all the Gorgons that you fight in the game, as well as Dusa herself. Dusa's role inside the house is that of the chief custodian. She feeds Cerberus and cleans every inch of the house, which often leads to her being overworked and exhausted. At first, she is very shy towards Zagreus. However, as you interact with her more, the two of them form a genuine friendship. Dusa is also shown to be good friends with the Fury Megara, with the two of them often seen having conversations inside the lounge. However, Nyx grows weary between the friendship of Zagreus and Dusa, and decides to fire her, as she sees this as an act of compassion. Neither Zagreus nor Megara take this well, and the two of them manage to convince Nyx to rehire Dusa, on the condition that she will not overwork herself, which she agrees to. Dusa is one of the most drastically changed characters from myth to game, but has become a fan favorite nonetheless, and is considered one of the best characters in the game. And with that, I've come to the end of this part of the Before humanity,
before the great heroes of legend, before the great gods of Olympus, before the Titans, and yes, even before the primordials themselves, there is only the void, and the incarnation of that void was and from them sprung creation itself. Chaos created the earliest primordials, including Nyx, who is said to be the second being ever created, making her their daughter. Aside from that, there are no other stories in Greek myth involving chaos as an active component. After all, why would the embodiment of the void itself make an appearance in such petty squabbles, such as those by the gods or titans? Instead, they take a focus in the game Hades, where even then they do not simply give out assistance freely or by simply entering a room. No, instead, chaos can only be found by giving up some of your own health and entering a chaos gate, or even then, almost all the boons they offer have some sort of drawback to them. When Zagreus first meets Chaos, they take on an almost human-like form. However, there are several major differences. For one, Chaos's skin is gray, almost marble-like, with bat-like wings similar to that of the Furies, where their ears should be. The closest they appear to human is with their head and torso, which is vaguely human-shaped. However, everything below that becomes a featureless void. In the center of their chest is a large red stone, and on their head is what appears to be a third eye. However, it also resembles a chaos gate. Along Chaos's body are what appear to be human-like heads with red eyes, all meshed all together, along with many other indiscernible items. In Chaos's right hand is what appears to be a blue and green marble. However, this is actually the earth itself floating in the palm of Chaos's hand. Chaos speaks with almost no emotion in their voice, or should I say, voices, as they are what appear to be multiple voices speaking at once. Chaos is endlessly curious about existence and watches Zagreus' escape attempts either out of boredom or amusement. They also enjoy watching God of Wine Dionysus due to his unpredictable personality and behavior, which amuses them, as they nickname him the Drunk. However, Chaos does not think highly of most of the Olympian gods, believing them to be too confident and arrogant. Chaos dislikes being talked about or even mentioned, only allowing it if they have given permission first. Chaos also values free will and choice, refusing to force anyone to do anything, unlike the Olympian gods, who will often try to manipulate or bribe Zagreus into choosing an option they believe is right. Chaos believes that free will and choice are the only aspects that truly matter. The relationship between Chaos and Nyx is far more complicated than it may first appear. Chaos is described by Nyx as being very distant and detached, which Chaos regrets, that it did seem to have some sort of connection, as Chaos says they used to play hide and seek, whatever that equates to higher dimensional beings. Despite their detachment, Chaos still loves their daughter, and it was saddened when she left, and they would be saddened if Zagreus were to stop seeing them as well. More evidence for this is when they offer Zagreus the Egg of Chaos, which allows him to access the Chaos Gates without making him give up some of his health. They say they did this so that he can visit them more. During the events of the game, Nyx learns that Chaos has been helping Zagreus and considers seeing them again, and Chaos agrees to this as well, and instructs him to be repaired the eldest sigil, and after he does this, Nyx goes to visit Chaos, and from then on can occasionally be seen near them. During the epilogue, Zagreus can invite Chaos to the feast with the Olympian gods, which Chaos accepts. Afterwards, they state that they believe that the party was amusing and thanks Zagreus for continuing to visit them. That was the family of Nyx in Hades explained. This was super fun to make, mostly due to the chaos, as there is not a lot of content about them. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that you will tune in for the next one, while I will be breaking down 3 more of the house's interesting cast. Everyone's favorite smack-talking skeleton Skelly, the underworld's very own merchant and ferryman Charon, and the goodest boy to ever exist Cerberus. Have an amazing day, everyone, and I hope to see you in the next one.
Hello? Just saying hi, and I have a green screen now. Yeah, really cool. I'll probably like display something here if I do this correctly, like a beach or space or like anything. So yeah, really cool. Excited to use that. I don't really know what else to do here. More cool images, I guess. Display some. I'll display like some images of like the characters or whatever, like Nyx, Hypnos, all those guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that glitching effect I did. It was really cool. Haven't tried that. I'm new to Premiere, but like yeah, that effect was like really cool. Got to have fun implementing that. Crap. What am I supposed to show? Hang on. I had something. Give me. Okay, get back here. No, go back. There we go. Sorry. This is Sweetie. She's a little. She doesn't like me. Okay, I'll let you down. But yeah, just want to say hi to the dogs. Well, guess I'll stop now. See ya. Bye.